Hello friends. Today I'm going to explain the first episode of the recently released mystery drama crime series on Apple TV, Lady in the Lake, titled, Did You Know Seahorses Are Fish? The episode begins with a scene set in 1966, where a man is about to throw a body into a lake from a boat. In the background, a narrator speaks to Maddie, saying that when she was alive, her name was Cleo, but now, after her death, she is known as the Lady in the Lake. The narrator adds, "Today you cared about me, and you turned the end of my story into the beginning of yours." The scene then shifts to a month earlier in Baltimore, where a Thanksgiving parade is taking place. A couple is heading home with their daughter, Tessie. As they consider turning back due to road closures, Tessie notices a fish shop and enters without informing her parents. Inside, she talks to a black man until a white man arrives. She begins talking to them about fish and informs them, "Did you know seahorses are fish?" And friends, that's the title of this episode. The scene then shifts to Maddie, who is carrying meat from the market. She notices blood on her dress and then spots Cleo in a yellow dress inside a clothing store. This is the first time Cleo and Maddie cross paths. Maddie enters the store, requests that dress, changes, and then heads home. The scene shifts to a Santa Claus figure holding a seahorse, with Tessie lying unconscious in front of him. The scene then returns to the parallel lives of Cleo and Maddie. Both women are attending different functions and giving speeches. Suddenly, the police arrive and inform them that a little girl named Tessie is missing, urging everyone to help find her. Maddie returns home with her son, while Cleo notices her son sitting with a drug supplier. We learn here that Cleo's husband is a comedian, but due to his lack of work, he spends all day at home. This leads to their children misbehaving, and Cleo blames her husband for it. After arguing with him, she takes their two sons and goes to her parents' house. The scene then shifts to Maddie's home, where her husband Milton and his friend Wallace are present. In conversation, Wallace reveals that Maddie had an affair with Tessie's father during school. This angers Milton, and he throws the food Maddie cooked into the trash. Maddie is deeply hurt and breaks a plate in frustration, cutting her hand. As she goes to clean her hand, she notices her blood-stained dress. She quickly starts cleaning it, triggering a flashback where she is shown having sex with someone, while the man cleans bloodstains from the sofa. Simultaneously, Maddie is shown crying, holding flowers in a yellow dress. Back in the present, Maddie leaves home after an argument with Milton. Meanwhile, Cleo also leaves after a confrontation with her stepfather, heading to work. The scene shows posters of Tessie being distributed across the city. Cleo arrives at a club where she manages Mr. Gordon's accounts. Meanwhile, Maddie visits a jewelry shop and discusses renting an apartment with the shopkeeper. She offers her wedding ring as collateral, but the shopkeeper returns it to her. Maddie waits in her car outside, and soon the shopkeeper's daughter Judith arrives with the keys. Meanwhile, Cleo's husband is seen outside the same club, looking for work. The black man who spoke with Tessie in the fish shop, named Raggy, works for Gordon. In the club, an inspector flirts with Cleo, but Raggy interrupts, informing her about her husband. He then notices a poster of Tessie in the inspector's possession and becomes nervous. He quickly goes to a room, takes a fish from a fish tank, and flushes it down a nearby toilet. But the flush malfunctions, spilling some water on the floor, which he hurriedly cleans up. In the adjacent room, he sees Dora, unconscious from drugs. Meanwhile, Judith and Maddie reach the apartment and decide to search for Tessie on their own. The scene returns to the club, where Cleo and Raggy are trying to revive Dora. Gordon calls Cleo and instructs her to give her husband a chance to work at the club. He also criticizes her speech from the previous day. Gordon tells Cleo that since he pays her, she must follow his orders, and he instructs her to bring Dora to the stage. Dora then sings a song, while Maddie and Judith, searching for Tessie, arrive at a lake in the woods, where they discover Tessie's body. Maddie begins crying loudly and tells Judith to call the police. This is where the first episode of the series ends. Friends, to find out what happens next, stay tuned with us. If you enjoyed this explanation, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll be explaining the next episode soon. Thank you.